another view from the van with Paul from Magpie 24/7. Driving strong opinions on everything Newcastle United. Magpie 24/7. By fans, for fans. Driving strong opinions on everything Newcastle United.
How is everybody doing? It's Paul from Magpie 24/7, and once again with another view from the van. Goodness me, how things can change ever so quickly in the life of a Newcastle United supporter. You know, we felt confident coming in after a battling, gutsy, determined display in difficult circumstances against Southampton, but then we were brought back down to earth with an absolute bump when the complete opposite turned up. The complete and utter opposite turned up against Chelsea on Monday night. They really know how to piss your week off and ruin your week before it's even started, Newcastle. But the display went back to being cowardly, gutless, and no effort, no desire. You know, really frustrating, given all the positives that we took from the Southampton game and the crucial thing of getting 3 points. And looking back now with the Fulham situation, which I'll get onto shortly, even more important than ever that we took the points against Southampton, because imagine if they had taken that game to us, got the 3 points, which their you know, numerical advantage would certainly have deserved, we would be severely in the shit. As it turns out now, we're on 6 points ahead. We only would have been 3 points ahead with them having a trip to take on Sheffield United, and us having Manchester United this weekend. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to work out how bad things could be looking, albeit possibly temporarily, in the league had those sequence of results actually happened. As it's turned out, and let's face it, we were all Burnley supporters as the game was going on. Burnley and Fulham drew, and that was massive for Newcastle, because again, the pressure would have only been cranked up. Now look, I didn't expect anything from the Chelsea game, and I think 99.9% of the normal sane supporters didn't expect anything to take from, you know, from that game on Monday night. But if it had been a defeat where, you know, we saw the same game plan, we saw a continuation of what we'd seen previously, then I think most of us would have been okay with that. But I think the fact that the performance was so limp, coupled with obviously Wilson being missing, Manquillo being missing, Fabian Schär also being missing, I think that's unsettled lots of Newcastle supporters. And you know, I can see why. Callum Wilson's he's responsible for what, 3/4 of our goals, and not just that, but his movement, you know, accounts for a lot of the other goals that we've got against Chelsea. And the biggest way to put it into contrast, take out Miguel Miron, and nobody else in that team who started had more than 1 league goal this season. And that for me highlights it all, that all of our eggs, and I know Mike Ashley is a gambling man, but all of our eggs were placed in a very Callum Wilson shaped bowl. and I just hope and pray that that doesn't bite us in the arse, because, you know, he's going to be missing for another, what, 5 to 7 weeks before we'll see Callum Wilson back in action for us. Apologies about the sunshine, it's just one of them things. But yeah, we've got to find a way of scoring goals when Callum Wilson isn't in the team. I was pleased that Steve Bruce went with Dwight Gale. However, what I wasn't pleased to see is that he played Dwight Gale and then asked him to play the Callum Wilson role. And I just don't think that works. I think that when you put Dwight Gale in, you've got to play differently and play to his strengths. And he can do it, because we saw it at the end of last season that he's more than capable of scoring goals in the Premier League. But come on, Brucey, play to his strengths. You supposedly have wanted him for so long throughout your managerial career. You've got him. You've now finally got a chance, but you're not using him to his strengths like you were at the end of last season. For too many times against Chelsea, he was trying to do the Callum Wilson job of get the ball and then pull to the right to create some space for Miguel Almiron to run through, for ASM or whoever else to run into the space and get shots away. Unfortunately, Dwight Gale is not Callum Wilson. He's got strengths, but that isn't his deck of cards. So I was disappointed that we didn't tweak things. If you have Dwight Gale in the team, you've got to use his mobility, so maybe play the odd ball over the top for him to run onto. But more importantly, in my viewpoint, is to get balls wide and get them crossed in. There's no point of trying to do anything else but, because that is his bread and butter. That is what he does. Callum Wilson, and you've seen this, I mentioned it on the podcast for the past couple of weeks, when Callum Wilson's gone through a good burst of form, and it was perfectly highlighted, I think, in Everton. He likes to pull to the right. He likes to create that space. He can get his shots away from that position. He can cause issues and score goals from that position. Dwight Gale, not so much. So yeah, slightly disappointed that we didn't see that tweak made, but I was encouraged that he didn't have the temptation of, because and on the build-up to the Chelsea game, he was absolutely shit scared of Chelsea. All the stuff that he was saying, his mannerisms, his body language, everything was, oh, it's a name, it's a name. Steve Bruce plays upon, oh, it's a big name. It doesn't go, and I was listening to the Chelsea manager before the game, and he was sitting there listing all of our weaknesses, the different strengths we've got, sort of dissecting how he was going to pull us apart. You knew it, that he'd done his homework. Steve Bruce, on the other hand, just doesn't. He goes off, oh well, it's a big name, it's a big name, and that normally scares him into a back five with two older midfielders, so virtually backs to the wall 7 job, which makes it very, very difficult to score. But he did keep the formation, but like I said, in doing that, he quite wasn't brave enough to go the full whole hog that was needed. And that was to tweak it. I mean, and it would have meant, changing the role that Miguel Almiron has got in the team. But Dwight Gale at present is our best goal scorer. So you've got to tweak it round, because we need to score goals to stay up. So it's really frustrating, really demoralising watching the game unfold. 2 absolutely soft, pathetic goals. There was individual errors in all of them, in both of them. Goodness me, where to start? Emil Kraft is probably the best place to start. Absolutely fucking useless. I heard Bruce screaming, you're 20 yards out of position. Well, I was sitting there on my sofa with the match on, shouting, he's not 20 yards out of position, you daft bastard. He's several hundred miles out of position. Get him back to Newcastle. Get him out the road. Fucking useless. For an international supposed quality player, Emil Kraft is absolutely fucking dog shit. It needs to be said. I mean, it's sod's law that we get rid of Yedlin. It wasn't the best defender, let's face it, but he was certainly a better option than Emil Kraft. We get rid of him, then we get the injury to Manquillo. He's going to be out again for another 6-7 weeks or whatever it's going to be. And we're left with this clown as the only recognised right back. Personally, I'd try anybody else there but him. He's absolutely inept. He seems asleep half the time. His positioning is awful. And the thing is, Chelsea gave him a couple of wake-up calls earlier on where they were just literally going past him. Time and time again. But he just doesn't learn. Bruce was even telling him, "You're out of position, you daft bastard!" But would he listen? Would he fuck? And yeah, the goal, you knew the goal was going to come down there. Crosses in, it's a mess. It's a shit show in the centre. I don't think Darlow once again covers himself with all glory. I know he's done a good job for us this season, but the pressure of having Martin Dubravka on that bench is clearly getting to him. I would have brought Dubravka back in weeks ago. He is the club's #1, and when he's fit and back to form, he should be treated as such. And I don't want to risk losing a Martin Dubravka to keep a Carl Darlow. With the greatest of respect, it's the old Shea Given, Steve Harper thing, in that, you know, Shea Given was always the #1. He was the better of the keepers. Yeah, Darlow's got a mint chant, but that's all he's got. You know, I still think his distribution isn't as good as Dubravka. His command and presence in the box isn't as good as Dubravka. I think they're both good shot stoppers. But I just think with everything and us needing a bit of leadership and a bit of extra backbone, and I would have him back in, and I think most Newcastle supporters now would have him back in. And there's going to be a hellacious scrap this summer over the Newcastle jerseys, because you've got Woodman chucked back into it. Gillespie is not a bad choice as a third choice goalkeeper as well. So lots and lots and lots of things to get your teeth around in the goalkeeping department this summer, and it'll probably depend upon which league that we are in as well. But yeah, Darlow didn't cover himself with glory, nor did the defence. Certainly Emil Kraft, who I would have hooked after 5 minutes. I really would have. If I'd have started him, he'd have come off, because I would rather play anybody else over there. Even a Paul Dummett out of position, in my book, would be a better option, because he's not as... It's just stupidity. It is obvious. If Steve Bruce is seeing it, then it's obvious. That's what you've got to really look at. And if he's shouting you 20 yards out of position, then fuck me. Wake up, man. Do a job. Do what you're paid very handsomely to do so. He's one of the top earners at the club, you know. Him and Shelby, in my book, they're just not good enough. And regardless, I mean, I hope and pray that we survive and we need another 3 or 4 wins, but whatever happens this summer, we need to clear out, because there's some players at our club who just aren't good enough. Mickey Quinn nailed it for me when he's going on about who is good enough and who isn't. You can't tell me that your Andy Carrolls, your Emil Crafts, your John Joe Shelbys are up to the required standard anymore, because they simply are not up to that standard. So yeah, it's 2-0 at half time. As soon as the first one went in, I was in the Gallagher Shots chat for the watch along, and I said, honestly lads, it's game over, because we are not going to create probably one chance based upon this, based upon the way he's utilising Dwight Gale, based upon the way that the players were literally at a slower pace than a pre-season friendly. I was just like, no, it's not going to happen. And that certainly was the case in the second half. He was encouraged by the second half. I was not. There was nothing much there for me. 4 shots on target during the entire game. To be fair, their goalkeeper could have absolutely had the night off. Of course, with typical Newcastle, if a player hasn't scored in ages, we gift wrapped it, you know, to him. Werner, you knew he was going to score. Giroud always bloody scores against us. It really is a thorn in our side. I'm glad when that lad's moved on. I really, really will. He's a bit like Ryan Taylor. He used to always score against us, and then we ended up signing him. So, who knows? Maybe Giroud in the summer to Newcastle. There you go. Couldn't do it. I tell you what, he'd be a fantastic option. He'd be a nailed-on starter for us, like. But yeah, second half, non-event. Chelsea didn't even try. They didn't have to. I mean, don't even talk about first yet. Chelsea were like, we'll just stay neutral. 2-0, a professional performance by them. They nursed and looked after the squad with much tougher challenges yet to come for the new manager. They saw it over the line, defeated Newcastle, and it just puts the pressure straight back on. I was hoping and praying for a daft point, you know what I mean, a 0-0, a 1-1, we get a bit of Bruce luck, it goes in off his arse or something like that, but it just was not to be, and you knew it wasn't going to be from the first 5 minutes of the fucking game, because we were absolutely like a lame duck throughout the fucking game, to be honest. Like, I'm sitting there on the sofa, I'm heading every ball, I'm shouting, I'm screaming. I saw none of that from the lads. Leadership needs to be a major thing. You've got Jamal Lascelles, who leads by examples. He can be vocal at times. You've got John Joe Shelby as a supposed vice captain. Fucking hell. He's no vice captain, like. He just doesn't communicate. He's like a shy kid. And what you want is a bit of just vocalness from the lad. Come on, wake up. We're in a scrap. Don't listen to what Steve Bruce is saying on the fucking side. We're not in a relegation scrap. There's 7 or 8 teams looking over the shoulders or whatnot. Bullshit. We're the ones who need to look over our shoulder, because Fulham are above us in the form table. Fulham are scrapping. Luckily for us, they seem to be the Sunderland of the league in a way, because they are drawing more games than they are winning. But don't keep poking the fucking lion or the bear or whatever with your stick, because eventually it will bite back. It will fight back. But whatever Steve Bruce is saying, please, Lord, ignore him. We are in a relegation battle. We are in a fight for our lives. And I do think a lot of the other teams around us are looking up, whilst we are panicking for our fucking lives. Or we should be. So I want to see a little bit more inspiration and leadership and decisiveness from a John Joe Shelby, who's on a lot of money, one of the highest earners at the club, and it might as well have a badge on Monday night that says, I really can't be fucking asked to put a shift in. It's too much to ask of me to get a sweat on. That is why I wanted Dubravka back, because any form or slight chink of leadership in the team or squad we've got, we need it on the pitch. All hands, from the reserves upwards, everybody to the tea lady needs to be thinking, we need to save our Premier League arses big time. And if you're not, you're fucking mad. You're off your fucking trolley. So that was that. We went down, and I said it before a couple of weeks ago, and I'll say it again. Newcastle United should be fined for breaking COVID regulations, for making unnecessary fucking journeys. Not one of them lads. Well, I will take it back. Hayden, I'll take Hayden out of it. Got a sweat on and seem to be trying. The rest of them, fine the bastards for a wasted journey, because I can take defeats. And I expected probably a defeat against Chelsea, but come on lads, swing a few fucking punches, have a go, show that you're desperate for us to stay up. We've still got a little bit of a gap, we've still got our noses ahead. 3-4 more wins should see it. But what I don't want to see is rolling into Old Trafford this weekend and us literally just dropping them. Just rolling over. Just giving up. I don't want to see a defeatist attitude. I really, really don't. And I will not take it. If the lads have a go and they try and they're swinging and they're desperate for every ball, think Leicester during that fantastic, you know, that clip that goes around all the time where everybody's jumping in for tackles, desperate to keep a clean sheet. Let's try and do something like that. Stick with the same formation. Tweak it for Dwight Gale up top. Don't dare play a bastard Joe Linton up top. And just have a go. Try and keep a clean sheet. Try and get some shots away. Try and score some goals. Play to the strengths of the players. Don't be scared. Don't look at the name. Look at some of the mad results this season. Manchester United have lost repeatedly at Old Trafford. There's no home or away advantage at the moment with no fans in. So don't be scared. Go there. Be big. Be brave. This isn't the best Manchester United team I've ever seen. I'll tell you that. I don't care where they are in the league. I think the league is very, very poor this year. That's why we've got a chance of staying in it. Because if there was any sort of decency or level of quality in the team, then we'd be long gone. Because for every good, hard-fought result, where you think, bloody hell, thank fuck, Alice Southampton, we follow it up with at Chelsea. And that's not acceptable. So, big game coming up against Old Trafford. Attack, go at them, try, be brave, play to, you know, the lads' strength, and who knows? Who knows? But if we lose, we've got a little bit of hope. We can think, well, against lesser opposition, lesser players, if we have the same sort of level of intent, we can do it. Anyway, I will be back with more podcasts, more updates, more of everything on Newcastle just as soon, you know, just as soon as we can. Straight after the game. I am nervous for it. I think it's going to be a very, very, very long afternoon for Newcastle. We escaped with Fulham only getting a point from Burnley. They play Sheffield United. Please, Sheffield United, do us a favour. But it goes to show you how much they've reduced us when we have got to hope and pray that others are doing us favours. How far have we fallen that we have to rely on favours from Sheffield United? It's a joke. The club is in a mess. I blame Mike Ashley. I blame Lee Charnley. Both of who have not helped Steve Bruce one bit. They've given him the money, but they've not given him the support, the voice, anything else but that. There you go. We're not speaking to anybody. We're sticking our fingers in our ears and doing our best Jose Perez impression that is possible. It's not good enough. I cannot wait till the day that I wake up and I read Steve Bruce has left Newcastle, Mike Ashley's left Newcastle, Lee Charnley and his bunch of merry men have left Newcastle. That will be a very, very happy day. But huge game at the weekend. Attack it, lads. Come back with something, even if it is just hope. Sheffield United, do us a bloody favour. Do Fulham over and let's keep that gap as big as possible because, like I've said, 3 or 4 wins between now and the end of the season. We're capable if the right Newcastle show up. Anyway, take care, keep it tuned, fingers crossed, and I'll speak to you later.